Lisa Burke, and in today's lesson, we're going to talk about figuring out the chords of a song or tune based primarily on hearing the melody. So this is going to be particularly geared towards people who are accompanying instrumental fiddle tunes and trying to pick up the chords on the fly by ear, like in a jam session or when learning a tune from a recording, or any other situation where you are primarily hearing just the melody and trying to figure out the chords using your ears and your brain. And this can certainly also apply to songs, not just instrumental tunes, but we're going to be using an instrumental tune as our example here. So first of all, I want to make clear that especially with traditional music, there isn't always one correct chord progression. Oftentimes there will be more than one chord that might make sense underneath a given note or phrase. And sometimes there is like a generally agreed upon way to play the chords, or somebody that you're playing with will have a particular way that they like to play it. But it's not always a hard and fast rule the way it is with like a song that somebody composed and they wrote a specific set of chords for it. So as a general rule, the way that this works, the relationship between the melody and the chords, is that the notes that appear on strong beats or the notes that are strongly emphasized in the melody are going to be part of the chord that is playing beneath them. Or if you want to think about it in the opposite direction, the notes in the chord are going to appear in the melody, often on those strong beats. So let's listen to a traditional tune that I will play for you, and then we can kind of start taking it apart and figuring out what chords the melody might be implying. So this is a traditional tune that I learned from my friend Steve, and it's called The New 5 Cents. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the tune, and what I want you to ask yourself when you're listening to a melody, to just start hearing where the chords might be, is a couple of questions. So firstly, is it resolved or not? Does the melody sound like it's at home or away from home? And does the melody sound like it's asking a question or answering a question? A lot of fiddle tunes will have this kind of call and response, question and answer structure to them, where the phrases will repeat, but with different endings. So they'll play a phrase once and it'll have a kind of unresolved question sounding ending, and then the phrase will happen again, but the melody will resolve itself at the end. That typically means it lands on the root note of whatever key you're in. But doesn't necessarily have to mean that. And a lot of tunes, they'll end unresolved or they'll end on a chord other than the one chord. But with simple, straightforward tunes like this one, there are these kind of general rules that are often followed. Not rules, more like common practices. So let's listen to that, the first part of this tune again, and think about that kind of home, away from home, resolved, unresolved kind of framework. 1, 2, 3, 4. If I end right there, it sounds kind of unresolved, right? Let's keep going. Just going to repeat the same phrase again, but end it differently. Sounds pretty resolved to me. So that's kind of our first clue about what the chords are. let's keep going. Let's play that whole bit one more time. Really listen for that home, away from home, question. Sometimes the melody might go away from home, but it's not quite asking a question. Like, it doesn't sound really unresolved. Learning to hear those kind of gradations in like how far away from home are we will really help you here. So keep listening. 3, 4. Now, let's take a quick second to talk about chord numbers. I mentioned the 1 chord earlier. Many of you probably already know what the deal is with this, so I'll make it quick. Chord numbers are useful because they are a way to talk about chords that doesn't have to be tied to any specific key. It's more about the function that the chords play within that key. So when we talk about the 1 chord, we mean the chord that is built on the first note of that scale, the root note of the scale. So if we're in the key of D, as we are right now, the 1 chord would be a D chord. And if you count up the scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, the 4th note of that scale is a G. So the 4 chord is a G chord. If you keep going one more note up the scale from 4 to 5, that's an A. So the 5 chord is an A chord. Now, people often talk about the 1, the 4, and the 5 because in a major key in Western music, the 3 most common chords that you're going to hear are the 1, the 4, and the 5. A lot of fiddle tunes, folk songs, country songs, pop songs, rock songs will use only those 3 chords. So learning to hear those 3 chords in a way that is not about like the D chord or the G chord, but is just about the character of the 1, the 4, and the 5 in a major key. Learning to hear that will be hugely helpful to you. And they each do kind of have their own sort of character and characteristics, and that's what I'm getting at when I'm talking about at home versus away from home, asking a question, answering a question. So when we were hearing the melody of New 5 Cents, we probably noticed that that first phrase ends pretty unresolved, right? We already talked about this. That sounds really unresolved. And typically when we have that kind of unresolved questioning sound, that often signals that we're hearing the 5 chord, which in this case is an A. So we start on the 1 chord. I'm just going to give you that one, which is fairly obvious if you listen to the melody. It's really kind of just a D major arpeggio. Da 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 da. That's going somewhere else. We'll get back to that in a second. Da 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 da. Another basically D major arpeggio with some other notes in between. And then we go to this note. My guitar does not intonate perfectly, I'm sorry. So that's our sign that there's a 5 chord. Often in a fiddle tune, we'll hear a 1-5-1 at the end. So if a phrase ends on a 5 chord, you can guess a lot of the time that what you're going to hear next is that same phrase, but instead of ending on a 5 chord, it's going to end on a 1 chord. And often that's 1-5-1 or just 5-1. So we already have... Now let's do the same thing, but end on the 1 chord. Da 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 da. 1, 5, 1. Now that other spot where it goes somewhere else, but not quite to the super unresolved sound of the 5 chord. Da 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 da. not the 1. Da 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 da. It's not the 5 either. It's the 4. Da 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 da. The 4 chord can be a little bit trickier to hear than the 5 chord, or sometimes it can be hard to tell them apart. You might be able to hear that it's going away from the 1 chord, but you can't quite tell to which chord. And that just takes time to develop in your ear. But I kind of think of the 4 chord as like the next stop when you're going away from home. It's not quite as unresolved sounding as the 5 chord, especially when you make the 5 chord a dominant chord, an A7 chord. So 1, 5 really wants to go back to 1. And that's just kind of how our ears are trained to hear music. But the 4 chord, it sounds a little less tense than the 5 chord, a little bit less of a big ol' question mark. To me, the 4 chord kind of sounds like you're moving away from home. You've maybe stated an idea and you're elaborating on that idea. And then eventually you will want to go back to 1. So let's go through this tune again. I'm going to kind of outline the chords a little bit more as I'm playing the melody, and we can hear what's happening. So we start on the 1. A little sloppy, but you get the idea. So we have da 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 1, da 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 4, 1 1 1 1 1 5, 1 1 1 1 4, 1 5 1. You also could do 5 1. Again, not always 1 correct chord. Sometimes there's more than 1. And the B part of this tune it's a lot of the same material from the A part, right? This first phrase, that's basically another big old D arpeggio. Big ol' 5 chord there. Again, we're landing on this B note that we landed on earlier. That's our 4 chord again, right? Da 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 da. And then we're back to our classic little ending phrase. So that's basically the tune. I'll play it one more time and think about everything that we've been talking about in terms of hearing the chords and hearing the characteristics of what they sound like. Hopefully this has been helpful. Obviously we were only talking about the 1, the 4, and the 5 chord, but in a future lesson I'll talk about how to hear chords beyond just those 3. So hopefully this is helpful. Try this out with some simple major key songs or tunes and see how it goes. For Acoustic Guitar, I'm Isa Burke. Thanks for being here. See you next time.